everyone, it's Miss Cary, and I'm going to talk to you about Module 5, which is Other Scales. And we've already touched on some of these, so I don't think it's going to be completely new to you. So we've already learned about the major scale and the minor scale. And so now we'll learn about other scales. So which ones have we already talked about? The pentatonic scale, and we've already talked about the modes a little bit. So I'm not going to spend too much time on these because we could get lost in these, and we have to get to chords before the end semester. So I just want to make sure you understand how these other scales work, and then we're going to move on. All right, so pentatonic scale. The definition of a pentatonic scale is a scale with 5 notes. Now, in modern music, they've broadened the understanding of what a scale is, and scales don't even have to be linear. A scale can be, if it has 5 notes, then that's a pentatonic scale. So any 5 notes can be a pentatonic scale. Make your own. Coming from the Latin, penta, 5, tonic, tone, 5 tones. However, people use, often when they think of the pentatonic scale, they think of the spacing of the black keys on the piano. So I just played the 3 black keys. I'll call them F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, and then C sharp, D sharp. So that spacing is pleasant to our ears. So if we dropped everything down a half step and did pentatonic. All right, let's keep going. So here's one from Japanese culture known as the In-Sen pentatonic scale. Let's listen to this. So if you wrote a piece of music with only these notes, then you would be writing a melody in the pentatonic scale. Very beautiful. However, the 2 pentatonic scales we will be studying in depth are respectively the major pentatonic scale and the minor pentatonic scale. Both of these are not taught in many music theory courses because in European and American music schools, the music of the common practice period between 1600 and 1900, they developed the major and minor system, and that is the roots of much of our Western classical music. So the pentatonic scale is used in popular music, and I will also throw in there that the pentatonic scale is used in Native American music, and also folk ballads use the pentatonic scale. So let's look at what we've got in our module. Okay. If you already know your major and minor scales, you can easily learn the major pentatonic and minor Pinnic scales. So let's use our old favorite, C major. The pentatonic scale, that's the major pentatonic scale, is the one is this. So do, re, mi, skip fa, sol, la, do. Without the do at the top. All right, so let's look at the spacings of these real quick. Whole, whole. So we have our starting note, then a whole, then a whole. Skip a whole step, and we're right at the, can't see my hands. Can you see? Okay. All right, C. It's hilarious. C. Whole, whole, do, re, mi. Skip a whole step, and that's where our half step is, so skip a whole step, do another whole above that, and then top it with the bottom note again. 3 whole steps, skip a whole, go to the next one, do a whole step there, top. So group of 3, group of 2. Now this is the same pattern that I was alluding to before. The black keys. 3 whole steps, skip a whole step, then 2 more. So it's the same spacing. So that sound, get used to that sound, and the important thing I think is that there's no half steps. And in terms of tension and release in your song, no tension. No tension. No 7, 8. No major seconds. No minor seconds. Oh wait, major seconds. No minor seconds. No tritone. So the most tense thing you have is from note to note, and that's a whole step. It's not as tense as a half step. So songs that use this pentatonic scale sound dreamy and trance-like because there's not tension and release. Kind of just swirls around. And I think of them as circular. I don't think of them as just 5 notes. I think of them, when I use them in folk music, as never-ending. Part of that is that there is no tonal center that it revolves around. You enforce a tonal center on it. You start on whichever one of them you want. Make that the tonal center. But I digress. So, but the sound is 3 whole steps. Skip a scale degree, skip a whole step, and then play 2 more. And you want to think of it in terms of the major scale. It's 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. So if we were in B, oops. I'm just thinking of a hard key signature. We would do the first 3 notes. B, C sharp, D sharp, skip number 4, and then do 5, 6. F sharp, G sharp. And then hop to the top. All right, no half steps. Dreamy, open. They would sing these songs to help the children go to sleep. Notice how the major pentatonic scale has scale degrees of 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. 4 and 7 are absent. They're the ones that give you the half steps in there. Took out the troublemakers. If you know your major pentatonic scale, then you know the minor pentatonic scale. Both the major pentatonic scale and the minor pentatonic scale share the same collection of notes. All right, so we've heard this before. Just like the minor scale, the natural minor is the same as the major. You just start 3 notes below the relative minor. So let's go by the book here. The minor pentatonic, so we were in C. We're going to go to our relative minor, start on A. And it's the same notes. It's just which note you start on. So when we call them a major pentatonic scale or a minor pentatonic scale, that means you're locking it down to a key, and often if you're playing, I'm thinking about rock and roll now, if you're in the key of G and it's a bluesy rock and roll song, if you play a G major pentatonic scale for your solo, most of the notes will all sound good. And that's how a lot of rock and roll solos get going. So if you want to lock it to a key, that's fine. But when I think of it as a folk scale for the mountain people who didn't necessarily read music, or for the Native Americans, they're just finding the open, resonating notes. And they didn't think about what key it was in or which note they started on. So this is for music theory purposes. So the minor pentatonic, the same notes. Let's think about the major scale, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. So if we were in C, it'd be C, D, E, G, A. Now if we put the A on the lower end, start there, then do C, D, E, and then G, A. You can do those same spacings. Let's look at the black keys. Same spacings. So the major pentatonic has the 3 whole notes first, then the 2. Now if we went to the minor, 1, 2, 3, skip 4, 5, 6. So this is our 6. That's major. Just means you start on a different note. So same spacings, no half steps. All right. I will let you look at these tables. There they are written out. I think you can figure this out. And then he shows you how to find it for different keys. Next, we're going to look at the modes.